welcome back. You're still watching Fut Afrique, the only show that allows you to discover the African continent through its football. We're talking about the Summer Olympics 2024 as far as women's football is concerned. As we know that CAF has 2 slots available. We currently have Tunisia and Zambia already in the next round, that being the 3rd round. The big question is who will be joining them. A lot are expecting Nigeria to make a return to the Olympics. Respectively, they've missed out on 2, right? And they played their first game up against Ethiopia, where things didn't go the way in which a lot of people expected. But let's also highlight the fact that this is the first time that Nigeria is playing since their round of 16 match against England in the World Cup.
It is indeed. I mean, but a good thing is that, they went a goal down, they came back and managed to get the equalizer 1-1. The final score was in Addis Ababa. So now meaning that they've got a return leg, which will be played in Abuja in Nigeria. So 1-1 scoring away is a very good thing for them in the qualifying phase. Achidat was the one that scored the goal for the Nigerians to qualify, for them to equalize. So they have an advantage going back home into the second leg of the second round qualifiers. The same story happened with South Africa.
Yeah.
They went a goal down. Nobody thought this was going to happen against DR Congo.
Yep.
But Banyana had their own problems going into this match.
Yes.
Remember, a lot of players pulled out injured. There's some players who were unable to join the squad. So you're expecting the likes of Jermaine Sopes, to only join the team ahead of the second leg.
Let's talk about that, right?
Yeah.
When we look at men's football, it's always a thing of there's an international break. You go do your international duty, then you come back, and then the season continues as normal. For women's football, do we find the international break existing for our side of the calendar?
It does exist. I'll give you an example. The reason why Nokomatlo couldn't join is because she's just making moves and she's still sorting out a residency in Spain. So for her to leave and come to Africa, she was going to have a problem going back. And Jermaine Sopos, remember, just moving to a new team. So they're playing a crucial match, so she had to play that game before joining the team. So those are small technical stuff that they actually had. Mamelodi Sundowns have got a lot of players that are injured. Makubele is out injured. Rifilejani, we still know, is still injured. Mbane is still injured. Those are some of the players that are out because for those reasons. But those matches were set to be played within FIFA calendars. So there's no way a player cannot be available for selection unless they've got certain issues that are outside of the normal one to be able to travel. So there's a reason some of the players are only joining their teams at a later stage, or some arriving literally before kickoff. So that's the story because of, also logistic-wise. If you are based in Europe, for an example, trying to get to Africa, you just made a new move. The team requires, he says, can you please keep you? It's always a negotiation. It's a bartering deal to say, we're going to need you for bigger stuff. Do we allow you to leave now because you have this crucial game to be played? Let's just play this game, you're going to travel. Maybe there's no linkage of you getting flights immediately for you to be able to play your matches. But the good news is that the second leg, some of those players were not available, be able to play in that match. So it's going to be played at Orlando Stadium. So I've got to say it's a big one. Because
for both sides, actually.
It is indeed.
Right, yes, it's nice that they scored away from home, but the fact that they were being able to be held at draws, Nigeria and South Africa, that is a big deal.
It is indeed.
We possibly could be seeing DR Congo and Ethiopia, should they hold them to those draws at home, goalless draws. They will advance to the 3rd round. I want to continue the conversation. There's so much we can say about the Olympics, but let's talk about this illustrious competition, that being the brainchild of CAF as well as FIFA, that is the African Football League, a competition where 4 million USD is on the line. 4 million. The question that was asked is that, that every phase there's money, right?
Yeah.
So when you qualify, do they add on?
Yeah.
Really?
So if you're playing the first phase, 1 million guaranteed.
Got you.
Next round, which is the semi-finals.
Yes.
So those teams that got knocked out in this round, they are guaranteed $1 million. Those that advance to the next round,
it's the million plus.
And then they get knocked out there, is $1 million plus 700.
Okay.
So it's 1.7.
Well,
those who reach the final, 300 million for the losers, 303 million for the losers, I beg your pardon, and 4 million for the winners. So there's money all the way.
So it's absolutely more than 4 million for the winners, but the grand total is really something that every single team wants to get their hands upon. We had 8, now we have 4. Setting up an interesting semi-final, the talk of town, Mamelodi Sundowns Al Ali. I think before we talk about that encounter itself, let's talk about Simba, the opening fixture that took place at the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium. 60,000 human beings in one vicinity, just there for the love of football.
Beautiful. I watched that game. And the surprise that, Al Ali were made to sweat to get a draw in Tanzania. But the good news is they managed to do the job. You know, they got the 2 goals away and eventually played the second leg, which they played in Cairo, and managed to get a 1-1 draw, which was also very tight because Simba scored first.
I was about to say, the rise of Tanzanian football, yes, they may have not progressed, but the fact that they're able to hold the reigning champions to a draw, home and away, that surely says something.
But also, I mean, it is the reason, this is why the AFL is all about. The African Football League is clearly about the top creme de la creme of African football. So there's nobody who's there by virtue of being, I'm friends with whoever. They are there on merit. So you're always expected to have very cagey, very tricky affairs. I mean, I was at a presser for Sundowns when they were playing their game, and Coach Rhulani Mokwena was saying, you can see the level of football is something else. It's a different level of football because these are the teams that are champions in their own countries. And they're up against champions from other countries. They are proving that you're not there just to make up numbers. We've been chosen because we're the best of the best in Africa. Hence, they're able to play the way they're playing at the moment. And that's why the Simba Al Ali game was never going to be easy. It was always going to be a very tricky and cagey affair. Hence, Al Ali managed to score the 2 goals away, gave him a huge advantage coming back home. But they were shocked because Simba scored first, even though they actually went away. You know, Karaba, once again, the player that actually scored the goal, Pesitao missed the sitter, could have actually scored a goal himself, didn't find the back of them. But Sundowns in their game, having won against Petro de Luanda,
away from home,
I still believe that Petro de Luanda, that 2-year suspension, the 2-year ban affected them.
It really does.
Because
and you can see how they play.
The competitiveness was not there. Because remember previously, they came and actually drew with Sundowns in South Africa for them to advance to the semi-final of the in the quarterfinals of the CAF Champions League. So there's not the same team we saw. But they still managed to match Sundowns when they came to South Africa.
I mean, hold it there, Brian. There's so much that we're going to say about Mamelodi Sundowns Al Ali. Blockbuster. Old 2 foes meeting yet again. We'll also talk about what happened this past week. Rhulani Mokwena celebrating 365, that is a full year around the sun, being the coach of Mamelodi Sundowns.